All right, let's dive right into a really strange idea, something that's at the very heart of being human. Think about it. You were handed this life, a life you never, ever asked for, and yet you're told you're completely responsible for it. It's this fundamental conflict we're all living with, and honestly, most of the time we don't even notice it's there. I mean, really think about that for a second. You've made so many agreements in your life, right? A job contract, a lease, but the biggest one, the most fundamental one of all, the agreement to exist, that was never even on the table. You were just here. Poof. And that right there, that's what we're calling the unchosen burden. It's this paradox that's literally at the foundation of the whole human experience. I mean, let's be real. None of us raised our hand and said, yep, sign me up for this. So here's where we see that core conflict just laid out plain and simple. On one side, your existence, it just happened to you, zero consent. On the other side, from the second you get here, you're hit with this mandatory, absolutely non-negotiable responsibility for that very same life. It's a wild setup, isn't it? Okay, so what happens when you're stuck living inside a contradiction like that? What's the consequence? Well, it creates this very specific state of being, this feeling that you're totally accountable for something you never ever signed up for. And yeah, there's actually a name for that feeling. It's called existential tension. It's a huge idea in existentialist philosophy, and it's basically this, that constant low-level friction you feel between being thrown into the world without an invitation and the absolute demand that you take full ownership of your life anyway. It's accountability without any agreement. Now, the important thing to get here is that this tension, it's not some personal flaw. It's not a problem that's unique to you. It's a core feature of being human. It's just baked into the system of being alive. You know, usually when we feel tension, our first instinct is to get rid of it, right? To solve the problem. But here's the twist. This kind of tension isn't a problem to be solved. It's actually the very engine that powers something amazing, a uniquely human and incredibly creative response. So, what is that response? How do we deal with this tension? Simple. We create. Humanity's answer, our collective answer, is to build meaning from the ground up. We basically become the architects of our own purpose. And the process is actually pretty straightforward when you break it down. Step one, we face the paradox, whether we realize it or not. You know, the whole, I'm here, but I didn't ask to be thing. Step two, we live inside that tension. And then step three, we react. We start building a story, a narrative, something to make it all make sense. So what does that actually look like in the real world? Well, it's pretty much everything that gives our lives structure and a sense of direction. We're talking about the big stuff, right? We build these huge belief systems, things like religions or philosophies. We create these really personal stories about who we are and where we're going. And out of all that, we develop a sense of purpose to guide what we do every single day. When you boil it all down, all of this stuff, our beliefs, our personal goals, our stories, it's all just our way of trying to justify our own existence after the fact. Think about that. We are literally creating the reason for being here long after we've already arrived. Okay, so this whole journey brings us to a really personal point. We've talked about the paradox, we've talked about the tension it creates, but now let's bring this all home. What does this actually mean for you? Because at the end of the day, this is what we are. We are storytellers. It's in our DNA. We find ourselves dropped into the middle of a story we never asked to be in, and so we spend our entire lives writing the plot, figuring out our own character, and trying our best to give it all a meaningful ending. So if you're already the author, and you are, there's really only one question left to ask, and it's the most important one of all. What story are you writing for yourself?